Hi, boys and girls. I'm here. Hi. I'm not able to get the picture and show you myself, which you don't need to see me anyway. I just wanted to let you know I'm here. All right. So anyway, yesterday we were talking about um, the Americans' first people, and we found out that the American first people relate to the Native Americans, or they're otherwise called Indians, incorrectly called Indians. Now, we found out that as we looked at our map yesterday, the area in which we live is the northeast um, woodlands, and that's where we live. And then Lenni Lenape is the Indian group that lived in the area that before we did. Yesterday, we read about the southeast woodlands. One of those groups is the Cherokee. We found out yesterday that the Cherokee lived in that area, and we also found out they ate meat, fruit, and vegetables. They used trees to build houses. They covered the wooden frames with mud from nearby riverbanks, and later they built log cabins. So we found out they used a lot of natural resources. Some of the resources we found out are rich soil, rivers, and trees. Today, we're going to read about a group in our area. This is the Northeast. Now, one of the groups that lived in the area in our area, in the Northeast, are the Iroquois. Now, that doesn't mean that they lived in New Jersey. They just lived in this general area. Okay? So we know that they're going to have colder winters because that's where we lived. Now, here's a really cool picture of an Iroquois village. And over here, in this particular area, they don't have as many trees as we do in Vineland. We have some lean-tos. We have areas in which they cook. They used a lot of their natural resources for things that they needed. Okay, we're going to go ahead and read about the Iroquois of the Northeast. The Iroquois, and I know you want to say S right there because there's an S on the end, but it's Iroquois. The Iroquois settled in the forest of what is now central and northern New York and southern Canada. Like the Cherokee, the Iroquois chose this area to settle because of geography. The forest had plenty of animals and plants. The Iroquois used rivers for fishing and traveling. I'm going to underline that because those are the natural resources. The rivers for fishing and traveling, and they also had trees, animals, and plants. Like the Cherokee, the Iroquois used trees to build their houses. However, Iroquois houses had a different shape than the Cherokee. They were up to 200 feet long. Since these homes were longer than they were wide, they are also called longhouses. So I'm going to underline what longhouses are. Homes that were longer than they were wide. Put a circle around that. I've underlined so much. I'm going to put a circle around this one. Longhouses could be home to as many as 10 families. Each family had its own living space. Fires were built down the middle of the longhouse, and a family on each side shared a fire. More than 500 years ago, the Iroquois formed a confederacy. Confederacy is going to be an important word. I know that it's because it's highlighted and it's also bold. A confederacy is a formal agreement or treaty between groups that work together. So a confederacy is an agreement between tribes that work together or people that work together. The Iroquois Confederacy had 5 groups. This is pretty important. The Mohawk, that's number 1. The Oneida, that's number 2. The, oh my goodness, how am I going to say that? Onondaga, number 4. Cayuga, and number 5, the Seneca peoples all shared a similar culture. The Confederacy was also called the Five Nations. It had rules to protect the rights of each of the 5 groups. Each group voted on the important Iroquois decisions. And that reminds me of today's time. This happened 500 years ago, but when we went to vote, we would go to different places, wherever they told us to. In my town, we went to a fire department. Some towns they go to the municipal building. Some towns they go to schools. It depends. But you would go to that place and you would vote. You wouldn't vote on a law or a rule, but you would vote on a person who would, in turn, vote on many, many different things that you couldn't. You just vote on the person to do it for you. Okay, down here it says list 3 features of longhouses. Okay, I'm going to look up here for the longhouse. Oh, there it is. I circled it and it's also bold-faced. It says list 3 features. Okay, so I'm going to put number 1, number 2, number 3. Now I'm going to write 1, 2, 3 features that I can find. And if this area is about the longhouse, I'm going to find 3 different ideas here. Okay, and I'm going to write them there.